Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2022 film Spoonful of Sugar. It's a Shudder exclusive and it's coming to Shudder on Thursday, March 2nd. So this is a no spoiler review. Excuse me if I'm lower energy, having like sinus issues and stuff today. I'm also might need to get a drink of water during this, so bear with me. It is that time. Rain and everything outside when I'm doing this. All right, Spoonful of Sugar, directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan, who also did 5 Points, Save Me, and Fixation. Written by Leah Saint Marie, who also wrote scripts for The Price of Honor, In the Light of the Moon, Short of Breath, Augury, and Damali, the first of his kind. Don't know those. Again, Shudder exclusive coming Thursday, March 2nd. Quick synopsis. I don't want to give too much away on this film, because it's easy to do that. It's about a woman who was orphaned, young. She's probably, late teens, early 20s. I don't think they actually ever say her age, but she's very young. She had been orphaned, so she really wants to be a nanny in essence. She shows up to be a nanny for this family with a child who has particular needs. He's very, he has a lot of allergies. He's kind of, a fragile kid. And it's kind of about the relationship that ends up burgeoning between them and what's going on in her life, what's going on within that household. Don't want to go any further. Obviously, there's horror because it's on Shudder, so I don't want to go any further on that for anyone who wants to watch it and doesn't want anything spoiled. So here we go. Although I think at the end, I'm going to give like one thematic thing, so I'll let you know before I do that, and you can kind of bail if you don't want that. The beginning is creepy and foreboding, mainly because of the music that they end up using in it. I do really like the ending for that reason. It really does do a solid job of kind of hooking you in and being like, okay, I'm interested. Let's continue with this. Really want to see where it goes. And there's a lot of promise with this film. I personally don't think it really paid off on the promise. There were a lot of things that they could have done with it, and I don't think they went down any of the paths that were all that interesting, in my opinion. I mean, there is interesting aspects about it, but in comparison to ways they could have gone, it seems like they had a bunch of more interesting paths sitting in front of them, and they chose like one of the least interesting, in my opinion. It looks dark. I needed better lighting in this. It looks like a lot of times they were trying to use like mainly natural lighting when every time you're inside of this house, for the most part, it is dark. So I didn't get it. Like, a lot of the times you're just like, this doesn't look right. We need like actual lighting in here. I don't know what they're doing with this from a aesthetic standpoint. So that didn't really work for me. You could, for the most part, see what you needed to see, but it was just weird. It's very odd to like try and use like only natural lighting, or at least make it look that way. I don't know if that was the case, but I wanted it to be much better lit. Also, it's just a personal thing where, like, I'm starting to get kind of tired of every horror film, looking the same for the most part, where it's all dark looking and the colors are really leached and drab, and you know what I mean? But, that's not this film's fault necessarily. Things feel very off immediately. The music actually does help lead you to that feeling, which the music, I think the composition's pretty good. I don't think they went too crazy with it, like making it go too hard at like yelling at you at certain times to make you feel a certain way. So it's more restrained. That's what I'm into with horror film scores, so good on that front. They set the stakes of what's going on at a very high rate out of the gate. With the premise they're setting up, they're basically being like, the stakes of things going wrong in this film, very dire, very, very wrong. Could be going very wrong. And that, helps to set the danger factor, helps to make the viewer a little more invested and understand like what's really at stake here. Real quick, gotta pause for horror hydration. My apologies. Sorry. Mucus, There is an interesting wrinkle that opens a lot of possibilities for where the film could end up going. But like I said, I don't feel like they use that all that well, and they end up choosing a direction that's not as great as it could have been, or not even as close to great as it could have been. There's some gross and disturbing stuff in this film that some people may really be turned off by, just so people know. There is an animal-related thing that happens. It's not alive. Don't worry, it's not an alive animal. It's already dead, but it still may be too much for some people. But they do have some gross and disturbing things that happen in the film. So some people may really be into that. Some people may be really against it. For me, it's like, whatever. It's fine. But I just wanted people to know that up front. There is a pretty strong sexual element to this film, but it's not really in a traditional sense. You'll see what I mean if you watch the film. It's its own thing. I'm just going to say that. It's not like I haven't seen that before in film, but for having a sexual element, it's not what you would assume for a film, especially one like this, but you'll see. Interactions between two particular characters get kind of annoying and seem like they're being shown way more than they actually need to be. Yeah, there are two particular characters where I don't really... Like, the characters on their own aren't that annoying, but when they keep interacting, it feels like, okay, we've already done this before. Why do we keep doing this? You've already nailed the points that you're trying to nail with their interactions. Can we not anymore? And it just kind of makes the film lose some momentum. It makes it seem a little bit longer than it is, which I think it's like an hour and 37 minutes, somewhere in there, with credits and all. The film does drag at many points and starts to feel a bit aimless. That's another thing. Because of all the stuff that's coming up that's like, okay, we've already kind of dealt with this. We're retreading material here. The interactions that get annoying, like, the film starts to feel like it doesn't necessarily know where it's going. And it feels like it's going to get pretty lost. It ends up coming back in the end, and there is like an actual ending that some people may enjoy. But it really like starts to feel like it's meandering like off whatever path has been chosen throughout the film. It's something. Oh, sorry. Almost dropped my phone. None of the characters are believable or likable. That's another thing. When I watch films, I want interesting characters, which there's one interesting character in this, I think. One interesting character, which is the main character. So, I mean, that's a plus. But none of the characters, for me, are done in a likable manner. Writing-wise, that is. And because the acting's good. But I just don't like the characters. They're not believable either. Like, because this is set up to be like a real-life situation. Not believable. Like, none of these characters, what they do, how things go down, not believable. Not believable at all. So that was a big issue I had. There's a cool animation that they end up throwing in towards the end, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, that's, I'm down with some cool animations. It seemed like it was a thing that was thrown in there because they're like, we know how to do this and it would look cool. It doesn't really add a whole lot to the film, but I'm okay with it because it looked cool. A portion of the ending you can see coming a mile away. A mile away, you can see it coming. So I don't like that, but there is some other stuff that you don't necessarily see coming. So it's not, it's a mixed bag. Yeah, I mean, I didn't love it. I really didn't love it. There is something mildly interesting at the end, but it's just overall, That's how I really felt about the film. Overall, I did not really enjoy it all that much. It just felt like a film to me. Like I said, there was a really cool premise that was initially thrown out there. There was a really good kind of like initial cool scene that really like hooks you in, and there's some breadcrumbs that are kind of like, ooh, this is tasty, this is enticing, and then it just kind of like meanders around, and then it feels like it falls apart, and then it does something at the end, and I was like, okay. I do want to say though, shout out Morgan Saylor, who played the main character. Great job. With the character she was given to act, she did a phenomenal job. She's the best actor in the film. Really did shine, and I hope she gets more work. She was really, really good. The last thing I'm going to say, this would be the thing that's kind of like a little bit about subtext thematic stuff. I think the main theme here plays off one that's used a lot. You never truly know who people are. So, I'm not going to tell you in what capacity, with how many characters, but you never truly know who people really are, And this actually ties in a little bit to my Nocebo review that I did not long ago, a few weeks ago, where well, I think 1 week ago at this point. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Where that was kind of a bit about, like, who you are publicly versus who you are privately. That wasn't, like, the main theme, but with this one, I think it goes very hard at that. But, yeah. So anyway, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give this a 2-star rating. It's not a terrible film, but I did not enjoy it very much. There's a lot of issues with it, so 2 out of 5 stars for me. Would love to hear your thoughts on the film, though. Go ahead and put it in the comments. You can do spoilers in the comments. That is totally good. We can talk about it. Tell me, like it, hate it in between. Give me like a sentence or two. Just let me know why. Do me a favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate that. Also hit the notification bell button, because then you'll know when I'm putting up new videos, which I'm doing 3 to 4 a week, which I think is a good amount. But regardless, thank you so much for watching this particular video, and until next time, keep it brutal.